Hi guys, welcome to this video on multiplication and division of integers. Really good to see you. My name's Darren, otherwise known as Maths Guru. Hopefully this video is useful to you. If it is, tell your mates, tell your teachers. And most of all, if you can, head over to YouTube, I forgot the name of the thing, and subscribe. It would be really, really greatly appreciated. Why? Just lets me know that you're actually watching and I'm not talking to myself. All right, so what was I talking about? In the previous video, I have looked at the 4 special rules we use for, well, pretty much everything. And I said that the 4 rules were a positive and a positive, and a negative become a positive. And a positive and a negative, and a negative and a positive become a negative. And you're going to go, huh? I didn't watch the previous video. Well, head over and watch the video. And by the way, everything you see that I'm writing on at the moment, you can actually download as downloadable notes from mathsguru.com. Let's get back on. So what do we have here? We got positive and a positive and a negative and a negative. And previously, in a previous video, I showed you that, for example, if you had -2 plus -3. Now the brackets were there to just try and make sure we saw that minus sign. I always write it out again, and that's where that looks a bit funky, doesn't it? It doesn't look right. Just like, that doesn't exist there. No, we don't write the plus and the minus. It makes no sense because we use the rule that says a positive and a negative can replace with one single negative. All right, so that becomes -2 -3, and again, making sure we understand the idea of our negative numbers. If you need to, you draw a number line, and then we have, what would we have? We've got -2. I'm going to then subtract 3, which moves 3 places that way, and that takes me down to -5. All right, lots of students I know really struggle with negative numbers, but more, just draw a number line, yes? So that was an example of what we did last lesson, but how does that apply to multiplication and division? Now, something else I want you guys to realize is the word product or quotient. Don't you just hate maths? Yes, me too. I hate it because there's so many stupid words, right? So product and quotient, product. If I go to the shops, I'm going to buy a product. Nothing to do with maths, yeah? Quotient, basically in maths, they mean very specific things. Multiplication for product and quotient is division. All right, let's get that language over and done with. All right, so let's have a look at some examples of what I mean when you multiply or divide. So what about if I have, well, we have 2 times 3. Every single one of you knows that that's in fact 6. Yes, 2 times 3 is 6. But have you actually thought about what the sign is in front of the 2 and the 3? If I was doing this properly, I should write +2 times +3. Now we don't, because that's not convention. But hold on a moment, we have a positive and a positive. And when it's multiplied together, what does it give me? Well, the thing in front of that 6 is actually +6, which we just write as 6, because we know that any number that doesn't have a sign in front of it is automatically positive. That's convention. Ooh, hold on a moment. So we've just said there that a positive and a positive is, in fact, a positive when we multiply as well. Oh, fabulous. Let's do another example then. Well, let's do -2 times 3. Now, when we think about times 3, that means there's 3 lots of them. So that's the same as -2 and -2 and -2, right? There's 3 lots of -2s. But again, we've got a positive and a negative and a positive and negative, which means we can change those to just a negative. And then we have -2, minus another 2, minus another 2. And again, if you need the number line, I'll draw them for a few videos. If we look at this now, so what do we have? We have -2. I'm going to take away another 2, which puts me at -4. Take away another 2, which puts me at -6. Oh, so that gives me -6. Hold on a moment. We've got a negative here. We've got a positive there, although we don't write it, and that's giving me a negative. Well, that's one of those other rules, wasn't it? So we know that a negative and a positive gave me a negative. And in fact, that is the rule. So not only did we have an example earlier where they were stuck together, we actually can use the same idea for multiplication and division. Let's do a couple more examples for multiplication. So if I had -3 times -4. Oh, -3 times -4. What on earth does that mean? Well, visualizing that is actually really, really challenging. And I'll explain how to do that in just a moment, if I can work it out myself. Anyway, because I don't think of it that way. I always do it this way. When I multiply or divide, I actually ignore the signs. Because we know for each of the examples I've just done that 2 times 3 was 6. Yes? And we knew that 2 times 3 was 6. So we now know that I can go and do this one here, and I know that 3 times 4 is 12, and I'm going to write the 12, and notice I've left a bit of a gap in front of it, because I want to try and work out now what sign is going to be. So I've got a negative, and I've got a negative that are multiplied together, and we know that a negative and a negative is a positive, exactly. So I could put a positive 12 there, but convention is we would just write 12. And ladies and gentlemen, ka-ching. And again, one more example with them the other way around. If I had minus, let's try that one again. If I had 7 times minus 3, for example, just do the multiplication first. Just do the 7 times the 3 first, which gives me 4. No, it doesn't. What am I doing? 21. Silly Billy, as my daughter says. All right, so 21. And now look at my signs. I've got a positive, because there's a positive in front of the 7, and a negative, which in fact gives me the negative. And in that situation, we have to write the negative. Now let's continue, because that was multiplication. What about division? Oh. Now again, all this builds on your times table. So if we actually have division now, and remember that's otherwise known as quotient, then let's do some examples. What about if I had 100 divided by 10. We know what 100 divided by 10 is, hopefully. It's 10. How do the rules work? Well, we did the 100 divided by the 10, which gave us the 10. There was a positive and a positive, which in fact gave me the positive. So once again, the rules are working. Let's do another example, preferably not in black. Let's do another example. Ooh, what can I do? 63 divided by negative 7. Right, now again, times tables are important, but I'm going to look at the idea here of just doing the 63 divided by the 7 first. Right, so 63 divided by 7 is 9, and now I'm going to look at my signs. A positive and a negative becomes a negative. And so again, exactly the same idea. Let's do another one. E.g., let's do minus 144 divided by minus 12. Ooh, do you see what we do now? Well, let's do the 144 divided by 12. Well, 144 divided by 12 is 12. And then we've got a negative and a negative, which gives me a positive. And as we know, convention states we would just write that as 12. Now, how on earth are they going to try and trick you in maths? All right, so I always look for things called the big fat tricks. And we can write division in another way to try and confuse you. So for example, that last example there could also have been written as minus 144 line minus 12. Hopefully every single one of you is never going to get tricked by this, because that there is nothing more than a divide sign. Now, if you want to, you could write that out as minus 144 divided by minus 12 and do it that way. Certainly works. Or you can actually do it the way that the question is designed. So for example, when I did this, I would have actually gone, well, okay, what's 144 divided by 12? I know that that's equal to 12. And I've got a negative and a negative, which would become a positive. And so my answer in that situation would just be 12. And the same thing works with, I don't know, this one. Look, what about if I had minus 6 divided by 4? Now we could do minus 6 divided by 4, but in this situation it's not a nice number. So the chances are we're actually just going to end up cancelling down. Now, if you remember, when we cancel down, we are looking for a number on the top and the bottom to be the same, or divisible, a factor of them. And actually, as it turns out, because these are both even numbers, I can divide the top one by 2, and I can divide the bottom one by 2. So minus 6 divided by 2, well, 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3, and the minus and the plus becomes the minus. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2. And believe it or not, there is my answer. And just to check, we've got a negative on the top and a positive on the bottom, and a negative and a positive become a negative. Yeah, so actually, just in that situation, it stays the same. Now, the rules work with lots of numbers chained together, and I'll show you. So there are examples where we can actually, what if I had minus 2 times 3 times minus 4? Now, obviously, we can't multiply all those together. So for the moment, I'm going to break it down. I mean, obviously you can. I'm going to actually break it down. And what I tend to do is I tend to do 2 numbers at a time. So in this situation, I'm going to do an equal sign. I'm going to do minus 2 times 3. So let's do that. I'm going to do 2 times 3, which gives me 6. And I've got a negative and a positive, which gives me the negative. And I'm going to pull everything else down. So we're going to times by negative 4. Now, do exactly the same thing. So just do these 2 numbers. And what am I going to get? Well, I'm going to do the 6 times 4 first, which gives me 6 times 4 is 24. And I've got a negative and a negative, which gives me a positive. And so my answer there would just be 24. See what happens? We can do them all in stages, making sure we look at the signs between them. All right, is there another example I can do? I think so. And again, remember, you can download all of these examples, and I urge you to do that. You download them, you print them off, and you write all over them in your own words. You stick them in a summary book if you're allowed one, or stick them in your maths book. All right, and you may only need 2 examples. Well, just take those. Just print those ones out. What example was I going to do? So let's do negative 4 times 2 divided by negative 8. Now again, remember the brackets are there just to make sure we see that minus sign. Okay, so what we're actually going to do is the question that was actually given was told me to work from left to right. Otherwise, if you didn't, and we did BIDMAS, and you were going to say BODMAS, and I'm going to say no, BIDMAS. Yes, we would have had to do the division first. Well, we can't really do the division. I mean, we can, but we're not going to. We're going to follow what the question says. So in this situation, I do things in pairs. So let's do that pair first. So negative 4 times 2. Well, 4 times 2 is 8. Negative and a positive. Remember, in front of that 2 is a positive, is a negative. Copy everything else down. Divided by, brackets, I'm going to put negative 8. Well, we don't need that anymore, right? So what could I do? Well, I could do, I'm going to mix it up a moment. I'm going to actually turn it back into the actual fraction way, because I know that's possible now. And I'm going to look at this and go, well, okay, well, 8 divided by 8. Well, any number divided by itself is in fact 1. So that becomes 1. And I have a negative and a negative, which give me a positive. And so therefore my answer just becomes 1. And baby. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully it has made sense. If it has, subscribe, tell your mates, go to YouTube. Otherwise, I'll hopefully see you in another video. Take care, guys. Couple more minutes to go. See you soon. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Yes, this is the end of another video. If you haven't already done so, can you click on my subscribe button? Yes, it doesn't mean anything other than the fact that I know that you are watching. Yes, it's greatly appreciated. Otherwise, I feel like I'm sitting here just talking to myself. And then, yes, there is mathsguru.com, of which you can see a still of now. And what is over there? Well, all the videos ordered by textbook, ordered by topic. You can search for the videos. You can download notes, time codes, exam questions, and so much more coming up. Yeah, it's absolutely free to join. So I'm done. Thank you very much. I hope to see you in another video. Give me a shout out to your mates if you can. I just want to make sure that everyone finds maths interesting and easy. All right, take care, guys. See you again. Bye-bye. Stay safe.